A trainee on the cusp of debut is naturally the subject of everyone's attention. Company staff members are responsive to their every move, and even seemingly unapproachable CEOs and company owners have encouragement to spare. And of course, support and expectations from friends and family are at an all-time high. But when a trainee finally makes their debut and appears on a music show, they see the cold, hard reality. The world is not that interested. Each episode of a typical Korean music ranking program, which essentially plays all week long, features about 20 artist teams ranging from freshly debuted newbies to veteran performers who have been on stage for decades. The finale is always performed by the most popular artist of the episode. During the filming, most of the artists featured that day wait in the green room with the other artists. In this teeming crowd, up-and-coming idols, even ones from the biggest management companies, are practically anonymous in a sea of new faces. They are lucky if no one happens to hear a bad word out of their mouths and spread awful rumors about them in the industry. Even among new artists, BTS were outsiders, basically stranded on an island of their own. And this was not because bighit Entertainment was such a small company. Jin looks back on their plight as they waited in the green room for their performance. I was so curious that I asked another artist, "How do you have so many friends here?" And they said, "Oh, this person was at my management company before." "What about that person?" I asked, and they said, "Oh, we used to be trainees together at my old management company." It was like that with most people. They didn't become friends after their debut. They were already friends before that. But our company was the very first for all of us. So at that point, we stopped leaving the green room altogether. Just as many trainees left bighit Entertainment before BTS' debut, it is common for idols and trainees to change management companies multiple times. And due to the sheer size of the biggest management companies, a significant number of trainees form friendships with contemporaries from other companies. But the members of BTS have never been associated with other companies, and they had no particular cause to interact with other trainees. RM and Suga had switched from hip-hop to the idol industry, and the other members had no time to turn their gaze outward because they were always listening to hip-hop at the dorms with RM and Suga, and perfecting their choreography in the practice studio. Jimin describes how it felt to be in the same space as other artists at the very beginning of BTS's career. I still have no idea why, but we seriously only stuck with one another. I think it must have been hard for other people to approach us too. We were all clearly on edge because we were determined to do hip-hop and not meeting other people's eyes. They were outsiders in the green room, or, to be completely blunt, they were just 7 people that no one cared about. But at the same time, the members found their attention naturally drifting to the outside world. Even if they were clustered together in one corner of the green room, they could not avoid the music from the show. The TV in the green room showed real-time footage from the performances taking place outside, and the in-ear monitors they put on provided a live feed of the other artists. These audio feeds in particular were a huge shock to BTS. For the first time, they were comparing themselves to their fellow artists. Jimin explains, "There was a clear difference in our teams and other singers' vocals. I was a newbie, so I didn't know my own voice clearly or what my own weapons were, so I just thought, oh, why am I so awful? And everyone's so good. I finally realized that I was a small fish in a big pond." He adds, "If I wanted to improve somehow, I'd had to practice my singing, but I didn't know how to practice. So I kept singing blindly. Every time I made a mistake, I went to the bathroom to cry." V also criticizes his own early performances. "Sometimes I'm browsing YouTube and one of our team's older videos shows up, but I always skip those. I'm not ashamed of them. They're precious memories, and they're always in my mind. So when I see them after a long time has passed, I think, that's what things were like back then. But at the same time, I feel like, why did I do that at the time?" V continues, "I like my old self too. It's because I went through all that I'm the person I am today." BTS's debut exposed them to a flood of outside influences that heavily impacted their early activities. Jungkook began to sing everywhere to the point he thought, "All the time I spend singing in the 24 hours I have is practice time." Jimin describes the mood and the team at the time. "It wasn't just me. I think V and Jin also felt an inadequacy to their respective vocal skills. I had a bit of an inferiority complex too. So I thought, I have to do better. If one of our members was practicing his singing, I did too. And so the members went on practicing even after their debut. Suga discusses how he felt at the time. I felt like a trainee throughout all of 2013. I didn't really feel like I debuted because nothing had changed. The only difference was that we had TV appearances, so the things we practiced were the same. That's when I realized debuting wasn't the end. It all repeats itself, I thought. Suga's intuition proved correct. The BTS members learned that their goal of debuting was only the first step in a long journey, a journey that would take them back to their practice studio. Just as they've declared their debut showcase, BTS managed to survive 2013. Their first album, Too Cool for School, released in June of 2013, and their follow-up album, Are You Late Too?, released in September of that year, ranked 65th and 55th, respectively, on the Gangnam Chart's 2013 album rankings. It was the best showing among all the idol groups that debuted that year. BTS also swept the Best New Artist Award at all the major Korean music awards at the end of 2013, including the Melon Music Awards, MMA, the Golden Disc Awards, and the Seoul Music Awards, and the Gangnam Chart Music Awards, but not Mnet's Mama. However, the award shows they attended to accept their prizes only served to show the members the reality they faced. Jin recalls, when we won the New Artist Prize at MMA, I think it was SHINee Sunbae who won Artist of the Year, who in Korea back then didn't know SHINee. Everyone knew about Beast and Infant too, but for us, there was a time when people used to call us those bulletproof vest guys. BTS was given no attention at the award shows. They were dwarfed by countless established artists who were already beloved by the public, and because BTS was the only group from bighit Entertainment to attend, they did not have older colleagues from the company to introduce them to other artists. No one spoke to them, but they could not approach anyone. All they could do was attend the award shows, step on stage to give brief comments and thanks, and return straight to the dormitory. In the year 2013, when the aforementioned BTS albums ranked 65th and 55th on Gangnam Chart, EXO had 6 albums in the top 10, ranked at 1, 3, 4, 6, and 7, and 10. This is the one reason BTS is the only Korean male idol group to debut in 2013 that is still discussed today. It was a time when one team had a powerful hold on the market, making it nearly impossible for newcomers to survive. It is no exaggeration to say that the industry's attention was focused entirely on EXO and the debut of YG Entertainment's trainees who appeared on Win, Who Is Next. BTS's accomplishments at the award shows proved only that they had survived, for now. There was no guarantee that they would still be around in 2014 and 2015. If TVXQ and Big Bang were the icons of the Korean idol industry's second-generation idol groups, EXO and the upcoming YG group were almost certain to be the kings of the third generation. This context is part of the reason the response to BTS's second album, Are You Late Too?, came as such a shock. According to the Hanto chart, which gathers data on physical and digital music sales, BTS's debut album, Too Late for School, sold 7,772 units in the first week of release, while the second album, Are You Late Too?, sold 2,679 units in the first week of release, more than triple the sales of the first album. Week 1 sales for follow-up albums released by idol groups generally reflect the expectations of the fandom built up by the previous album, meaning that Too Cool for School had been received well by audiences. However, shipping data was not so optimistic. According to the Gangnam chart, Are You Late Too? Shipped 34,030 units in 2013, only a 9,589 unit increase over Too Cool for School, which shipped 24,221 units. Although no one had expected shipping numbers to also have tripled, it was true that growth had failed to meet expectations. An increase from 20,000 to 30,000 units, as opposed from an increase from 200,000 to 300,000, was not a particularly significant achievement in the industry. In the Army Corner Store video released in June 2021 to commemorate BTS's 8th anniversary, RM describes the 4 albums they released prior to the Most Beautiful Moment in Life series as a cycle of sweet, bitter, sweet, bitter. Are You Late Too was one of the first bitters. J-Hope looks back on confusion. When we debuted with No More Dream and We Are Bulletproof Part 2, we got a great stage response, so I think we were honestly a little buoyed. But the next album with No kind of felt like being smacked around a bunch. Shockingly, the disappointing response to Are You Late Too was only one of the many tribulations waiting for in the wings. Few artists can keep up a streak of successes, and BTS, having made a memorable debut, had a few more chances ahead of them. But both the team and Big Hit Entertainment had already had a roadmap planned out for the future. The final song in Are You Late Too, outro Love in School, was a preview for the next album. School Love Affair would deal with the themes of love, an ambitious step to propel the team further into the industry. The team also managed to turn around with Are You Late Too by focusing on Attack on Bangtan as a follow-up song. Attack on Bangtan carries over the confidence and energy BTS built up after their debut, adding speed to the explosive power of No More Dream from their first album. The team was running ahead with momentum all their own, refusing to slow even after the disappointment of No. J-Hope remembers how the members have no intention of letting their circumstances get them down. Back then, in those circumstances, giving up wasn't even an option. Everyone was like, you worked hard to debut, but you're just going to quit? And we have to do this. We had an moment with No, but with Attack on Bangtan, it felt like we were finding our groove again. Jin also injected the team with a sense of calm. There are steps to everything. Sometimes you have to climb slowly, and we knew that all the other people who had succeeded climbed up slowly, little by little. But the real smack around that came from the expected place several days afterward was on November 21st at music critic Kim Bong-hyun's podcast, Kim Bong-hyun's Hip Hop Invitational. RM and Suga made an appearance on the podcast's 1-year anniversary episode, with rapper Be Free also in attendance. What unfolded next was already widely known to the public. As the recording may be found with a quick YouTube search, it will not be reproduced here. To summarize, Be Free dissed BTS. Looking back, it feels like we went through something everyone has to go through once in their lives. RM continues calmly. Taking an insult. Translator's note. RM uses the English word insult rather than the Korean equivalent. Like that to our faces. From someone in the same industry. The Korean word feels moyok, feels too flat. I can't think of a word more suitable than insult. Anyway, that's when I learned how to respond when you're walking down the street and you get slapped in the face out of nowhere. RM gives a hollow laugh. Indeed, Be Free's diss was even more shocking than a slap in the face because he passed judgment on BTS's musical identity without even listening to their album. It is difficult to imagine a K-pop idol making an ad hominem statement to an artist in another genre. But the opposite continues to be a regular occurrence on the Korean entertainment scene, having started from the first generation of idol singers. This stems from a widespread stereotype that idol music is inferior in quality and professionalism. However, some people, like Be Free, act if they are the judges at the audition, publicly passing judgment on idol groups' musical identities in spite of not having that authority. Idols by nature anyway, they shush me and look down at me. The lyrics from BTS Cypher Part 1 and Are You Late Too, released before RM and Suga's encounter with Be Free, contains the team's answer to all such criticism. BTS knew what the public thought of them and responded to such people with a cipher, which is a hip-hop technique. Weon's lyrics even go further with ambitious declaration. Fans, the public, maniacs, yeah, I'm making them mine. Intro, Are You Late Too? Question, what is my dream? And knows, is it really now or never? We still haven't accomplished anything yet. Shows clearly why the members chose to be part of BTS. BTS's music documents the journeys of its members, from not knowing their own dreams to understanding their ambitions, to fighting to make their goals a reality, and finally to developing their own perspectives on the public perceive them. Different people will respond differently to BTS's music, as musical taste is completely subjective. However, no one can deny that BTS's members filled their songs with genuine emotions and experiences from the time. In skit Are You Happy Now?, The members express how happy they are in spite of how busy they are. In the following song, If I Rule the World, they mused on what they might do if they find themselves success, in a humorous tone. These songs show BTS's response to their small taste of success from the debut album. If Too Cool for School was BTS's autobiographical record of uncertainty of training life, Are You Late Too is their rallying cry as they march into the spotlight, telling the story of BTS's idol life in a hip-hop package, a unique storytelling style that would go on to define the team. No's theme of wavering between dreams and reality could be realized in any genre, but for BTS, this was not just one small, disparate motif standing apart from the rest of the album. Throughout Are You Late Too, even their debut album, Too Cool for School, the members poured out genuine personal stories into their music, giving concrete form to their determination with lyrics like, "Is it really now or never? We still haven't accomplished anything yet," and delivering the message with passionate performances on stage. Suga meant it when he stated on Kim Bong-hoon's Hip Hop Invitational that he wanted BTS to act as a bridge between idol music and hip hop, as their music up to that point showed clearly that had been their aim from the very beginning. Padul Gangsan, in particular, encapsulates BTS's early debut identity. J-Hope explains how the song was made. Because we came from such different backgrounds, there was a suggestion that it would be really fun if we could talk about one another's hometowns and rap in dialects. We said, I'm from Gwangju, you Suga come from Daegu, and you RM come from Ilsan in Gyeonggu province. So let's each talk about our hometowns and take this song someplace. Padul Gangsan was only popular because all the members had come from outside Seoul. Although they began their musical pursuits elsewhere, each member made his way to the capital in order to make his idol debut, a phenomenon that occurs in all industries, because so much of Korean infrastructure is based in Seoul. Not only that, K-pop idol industry norms had 7 young men grouped into a team that shared a dormitory together. In spite of adhering to the industry standards in some way, BTS charted a new territory by conveying the origins of each member and describing how they came together as a team, in musical format. This process of talking about one another through music, says J-Hope, served to strengthen their bonds. I don't know how to describe this in words, but I don't think we had prejudices about each other's hometowns. So the conversations were easygoing and we could just laugh together and enjoy hometown stories, and that's how the song developed. It was born because we had respect for one another's origins. However, when Are You Late Too first released, very few people appreciated BTS's novel use of music. BTS were loners in the idol industry, and rappers from the hip-hop scene like Be Free had dished them without even listening to their work. And no one had batted an eye at such attitude. In the conversation with RM and Suga, Be Free had insulted not only their music, but the group's name and Suga's stage name. And when the episode was made public, some even took Be Free's side online and made hateful comments about BTS. At the time, that was the reality of the industry for BTS and the majority of idol groups. It was an era where people online felt free to make degrading comments about artists' names, looks, and actions. Not even their music, for no other reason other than the fact that they were idols. Several years later, RM looks back on this moment. It's exactly that, the history of struggle for recognition. We wanted to be recognized, to prove ourselves. For RM and the others, it was inevitable that they would seek out a reason for doing what they did. RM adds, I looked up and studied so much about insults and hurts, and I got even more passionate. Oh, I have to do better. Do better? What better? I wasn't sure, but I'd already made my debut, and I already got dissed, so I wanted to somehow do something that was within my scope and really empty myself out. It was not long before RM's determination was realized, at least in part. A crew member from Mnet who watched Kim Bong-hoon's hip-hop invitational clip contacted Big Hit Entertainment, and RM made an appearance on May 13th, 2014 episode of Four Things Show, an interview program that looks at the subject of the episode from 4 different angles in a deeper and more nuanced way than many programs today, not to mention 2014. It was the perfect opportunity for RM to clarify his own thoughts as he struggled between his identities as a hip-hop artist and an idol. It was extremely important to me, having unloaded something like that. The hurt was still there, but the interview confronted my heart in some ways. Bad things have to happen for there to be good things. And I thought at the time, oh, something like that happened. But thanks to that, people are coming to reach out to us. The struggles continued, and BTS would face unimaginable challenges. But those difficulties unironically helped the members renew their determination and even opened up new opportunities. This was only the beginning of their early career. Concerning this period, Suga simply says, I try not to think about those times if I can help it, because ultimately, we're the ones who won and ended it. School Love Affair, BTS's third album, was released in February of 2014. To use RM's expression, this was the second suite in the sweet, bitter cycle that was their first 4 albums. Public reception to the title song Boy in Love was explosive, propelling the team to their first top-ranked candidacy on a TV music show. The album recorded 86,004 shipments on the 2014 Gangnam chart rankings, with a 250% increase over their previous album, Are You Late To? Unlike previous title songs No More Dream and No, which were darker takes on teenagers with dreams facing down reality, Boy in Love explored teenage romance and injected a cheerful tone to their previous rough image. By refining the wildness that they showed in Attack on Bangtan, they developed a unique BTS-style love song. Although the dance choreography remained powerful and energetic, it included more light-hearted motions and school uniform-style costumes that made the team even more approachable to teenagers. Just One Day, a later song in the same album, also centers on young love, cementing the theme The Way We Love is defined as the first track, intro, School Love Affair. This new direction was the first step in BTS's musical expansion. Where previous albums were about the members themselves, their training days, their attitudes towards music, their response to other people's perceptions, School Love Affair began BTS's exploration of the outside world with themes of love, which requires taking an interest in other people and looking to the world beyond the self. School Love Affair also directly discusses trendy teenage fashion at the time, with Spinebreaker, with all its social implications, but also includes Tomorrow, which takes personal circumstances of the members and translates them into a universal message anyone can relate to. Tomorrow begins with Suga's confession of his pre-debut uncertainties, with the lyrics, this unemployed 20-something fears tomorrow, and a long way to go, but why am I stuck here? Conveyed a universal sentiment to many people in their 20s as they search for their place in the world. By expanding their own stories to include one of those of their peers, BTS defined living not just being alive, but living my life, giving courage to themselves and their listeners. It's always darkest before dawn. Later down the road, don't you forget the you of now. This was BTS's signature encouragement, not leaning on baseless optimism, but not mired in negativity and despair. If BTS Cypher 2, Triptych, was the members' perspectives on everything that came before, including the disc from Be Free, Tomorrow was a glimpse into the future of BTS. The music that they would bring to the scene later, with the Most Beautiful Moment in Life series, was already taking shape in School Love Affair. RM looks back. Even when I think about it now, I think Tomorrow could only be released because of Suga, because he's the one who wove together the beats and themes. That's when our BTS Season 1 exhaustion was at an all-time high. According to RM, Tomorrow rose from a series of obstacles the members faced from their debut onwards. The disappointing sales of Are You Late To and Be Free's disc had drained them, and BTS needed something to break them out of their funk. To make things worse, Suga developed acute appendicitis during the production of Tomorrow. He recounts, I was preparing the album when performing in Japan when my appendix ruptured, so I had to come back to Korea and get surgery and recover. But my fever went past 40 degrees Celsius and there was pus buildup in my stomach, so I had to get surgery again. Their previous album had fallen below expectations, and Suga had to work on the next album waiting for after his recovery, an album that had no guarantee of success. So he poured his anxieties and his determination to overcome them into Tomorrow. We thought, I want to see the light, for once. If nothing else, we want to have one concert at least. Without those feelings, we wouldn't be who we are today. Suga adds, I wanted to make the type of music that I used to listen to. something that could give people strength like tomorrow. I still feel the same now. Public response to School Love Affair restored Suga's hopes for the future. Boy in Love exposed BTS to even more people than before, successfully serving its purpose as its title song. Tomorrow cemented BTS's identity even further. Now everyone's attention, BTS members and Big Hit Entertainment alike, was focused on the next album, Dark and Wild. As School Love Affair had propelled them to candidacy for the top place on music show rankings, naturally their next goal was to win first place. Little by little, their future was growing brighter, and the members were renewing their determination. About this time, Jimin was fighting to improve his singing abilities, which he had been struggling with since debut. He remembers, "People used to say that BTS's vocals were lacking. Every time I heard that, my heart broke." BTS's vocals, which utilize R&B melodies on a hip-hop background, were an outlier in the trend of K-pop idols, whose music tended to be climaxed with high-pitched vocals. BTS's approach of writing the groove, which their voices topping the beat, was an unusual style in the idol industry, and the absence of the spectacular high notes that decorated other idol songs made it seem though BTS's vocal capabilities were not up to par. But Jimin explains that he got himself back on his feet. "I didn't just fall down each time." Above all, their slowly growing fandom acted as their emotional support. Suga says, "The fans we saw for the first time, each and every one of them meant so much to us." Even after the debut, Suga wavered internally between his initial identity as a hip-hop artist and his new identity as an idol singer. But this was hard for him to cross over into his longtime love. But what eased his transition into that new world were his fans. "It's really fascinating that people show up to see me, and how dedicated they are. To be honest, I can't be a fan like that for someone else. I used to perform in front of like 2 people in Daegu, but now I have all these fans in front of me who love me." Thinking about how heart-pounding it was for a kid like me. That's when I understood everything as, oh, I have the duty to do what these people want. This vibe helped the entire team acclimatize to idol life. Jimin recalls how he felt. RM and I talked a lot. We weren't really famous or anything, but we couldn't exactly spit on the streets without consequences at this point. And we were gradually building up a sense of responsibility to show the value of our work. Although it wasn't easy, it was clear that BTS was making headway, little by little. That is, until something unexpected happened. In interviews, J-Hope tends to keep his tone consistent. Even when he discusses BTS's biggest hardships and successes, he always keeps a cool head, almost like an objective observer. But sometimes, very rarely, J-Hope's voice fills with emotion. One of those moments happened when he discussed the practice sessions leading up to the December 3rd, 2014 Mama Award show. At the time, we were really in combat mode, and wow, it was like we were shooting the movie 300, training like no tomorrow. Block B and our circumstances overlapped too, so we thought we couldn't let ourselves lose. Jimin and I had our teeth gritted as we practiced our solo performances. We wanted to look cool enough to kill, so we prepared with all our hearts. Block B, the group that was slated to perform on a joint stage with BTS at Mama, had been so frequently compared with BTS at the time. Like BTS, Block B's music was also grounded in hip-hop, with members including rappers like leader Zico. And like BTS, Block B's music was wild and direct. The grueling practice sessions leading up to the Mama performance, however, were not solely because of the friendly competition with Block B. BTS were truly desperate. J-Hope says, "All those performances for Danger were really exhausting, and when we had the comeback with Danger releasing the Dark and Wild album, we had done about 20 music show pre-recordings and then went to a different program where they announced first place. We were told we had to be there, so we went up there live completely out of it. Then it turned out we weren't even candidates for first place, which I think was a big shock." J-Hope's shock was not purely due to their performance on the rankings. V tentatively goes into further detail about this situation. "It was fine if other teams were named as candidate for first place. We just needed to work harder. But at the broadcasting stations, we'd always be the first to say hello and greet everyone, the Sunbaes and Hyunbaes alike. But some people just ignored us and passed right by, or mocked us for not even being candidates for top place. The incident was a heavy mental blow to BTS. V continues, After the broadcast, we all got in the van together. Someone was crying, someone was getting really mad, and someone just couldn't speak. That unspeakable disappointment and the tear-jerking emotion was too much. B describes how the incident impacted BTS. That's when we thought, hey us, let's do really well, so that no one will ever look down on us again. Looking back, I'm glad we got at least a hold of ourselves back then, because we all found a resolve and we all had that determination. We all came together as one, swearing to become a really awesome group together. Part of the reason BTS was so hurt, and resolved to succeed was because their first full album, Dark and Wild, released on August 20th of 2014, with the title song Danger, was especially important at that point in their career. Unfortunately, Dark and Wild would also turn out to be a description of what waited the members. Jin even describes the period between their debut and Dark and Wild this way. To be honest, I don't remember that time very well. First off, I was so busy, I'd be at the dormitory, then time out the practice, record, go to the broadcasting station for performances, perform at events, then go back to the dorm, on and on. Of course, I remember the debut showcase and our debut performance and fan autograph sessions, but other than that, from my activities from No More Dream, No, Boy in Love, and Danger, there isn't that much I can remember. That was the schedule in which BTS released Dark and Wild, an all-or-nothing move that put the future of the team on the line. Unfortunately, reality was not that kind. Suga describes their disappointment. We suffered so much for it. So why?